muffin top, love handles, spare tires. However you refer to that stubborn fat that accumulates on your side's belly and lower back, we can all agree on one thing. It's linked to your testosterone levels, and it's gotta go. But why does low testosterone make losing weight such an uphill battle once you hit 30? Testosterone is an amazingly powerful hormone with multiple functions, and just testosterone clinics popping up everywhere. But let me give you this interesting piece of information. There are studies that estimate that up to 25% of males that have been receiving testosterone therapy never even got an initial testosterone test to see what their levels were at. So how would you even know if you had low testosterone in that situation? In today's video, I am showing you exactly how to get back to your peak performance. So, fellas, why not try a few simple, at-home methods to boost your testosterone in just 1 week? Testosterone isn't just a gym hormone. Low testosterone means lower libido, lower energy, worse mood, fragile health, and the real nightmare, more fat, less muscle. Testosterone dictates structural integrity. When the concentration drops below 300 ng/dL, your body initiates a terrifying sequence of decay. Lean muscle mass disintegrates. This atrophy triggers a metabolic crisis. Since muscle tissue consumes the majority of bodily energy, its loss causes your basal metabolic rate to crash. Your body stops processing calories efficiently and begins to aggressively hoard fat. This accumulation accelerates violently after age 30. The daily hormonal peaks that once sustained you flatten out, making it physiologically impossible for you to maintain an optimal physique. You understand that burning fat requires physical exertion, yet low testosterone chemically eradicates your ability to perform. The hormone deficiency eliminates your stamina. The fatigue is absolute. It drains your energy reserves until you cannot function. The condition also attacks your brain, focus vanishes. Depression and irritability seize control, driving you toward compulsive eating and total self-neglect. You remain trapped in a state of lethargy. Your mind attempts to initiate action, but your biology refuses to execute the commands. You watch your strength fade and your adipose tissue expand. Listen carefully, because here are the 9 best natural ways to boost your testosterone. First, you need to know exactly where testosterone is made. Testosterone is produced in the testes. You can see tightly packed, thread-like structures called seminiferous tubules. These tubules produce sperm, they do not produce testosterone. That point is critical, because confusion here leads to wrong assumptions about how the male body functions. Between the seminiferous tubules are clusters of cells called interstitial cells, also called Leydig cells. These cells make up about 20% of the testis by mass. These are the cells that produce testosterone. This is the primary production site. This is not optional. This is not minor. This is where your baseline is built. Now you have to face the second source. Other androgens are produced in other parts of the body, including the adrenal cortex, the outer region of the adrenal glands. But in men, androgens from the adrenal cortex account for less than 5% of masculinizing effects. It means the backup supply is limited. Adrenal androgens usually do not cause obvious masculinizing traits, except contributing to pubic hair and underarm hair development. If testosterone production in the testes drops, the body cannot fully replace it through the adrenal glands. You do not get a complete substitute, you get a deficit. And that deficit can hit harder than you expect. The modern man believes he is in control, yet an invisible threat systematically destroys his physiology from the inside. You cannot see these agents. You cannot smell them. However, endocrine disruptors are present in your immediate environment, waiting to sabotage your hormonal balance. These chemicals do not merely exist. They actively infiltrate your body and obliterate your testosterone levels. The terrifying reality is that you invite these toxins into your system through your most basic daily routines. Ignorance is not bliss here. Ignorance is biologically catastrophic. Your greatest error occurs in the kitchen. You take a plastic container filled with food and place it into the microwave. As the machine hums, You assume you are simply warming your lunch. You are wrong. The heat destabilizes the chemical structure of the plastic. This reaction forces toxic compounds to leach directly into the food you are about to consume. With every bite, you ingest substances that confuse your endocrine system. The plastic container is not a vessel, it is a delivery system for chemical contamination. To stop this internal destruction, you must immediately discard the plastic and switch to glass. Glass provides a physical barrier that heat cannot compromise. Furthermore, the danger accumulates in the very air you breathe. You keep your windows closed, believing you are securing your home. In reality, you are trapping contaminants indoors. Furniture, electronics, and building materials, off-gas chemicals that linger in stagnant air. Without ventilation, the concentration of these disruptors rises to dangerous levels. The room fills with invisible particulates that enter your lungs and bloodstream. You do not need to live in total isolation to survive, but you must acknowledge the severity of the threat. The solution requires drastic action. You must open the windows for at least 10 minutes every day to purge the toxic air. You must reject plastic heating immediately. The chemicals are relentless and they do not stop until they have altered your biology. The choice is stark. Eliminate the disruptors or watch your vitality vanish. The narrative shifts abruptly to a terrifying reality. The critical necessity of sleep? This is not a gentle suggestion for wellness, it is a grave warning regarding biological survival. A single week of fragmented rest triggers a catastrophic decline in testosterone levels by 15%. The damage is not cumulative over decades, it is immediate and devastating. The body synthesizes the vast majority of this vital hormone during deep cycles of slumber. When the subject restricts rest to a mere 4 hours, he effectively sabotages his own endocrine system. What a fatal error! His chemical potential plummets into a state of severe dormancy. The body recognizes the deprivation and shuts down non-essential functions. To reverse this physiological decay, the requirement is non-negotiable: 7 to 9 hours of high-quality rest. The sleeping environment must be engineered for total sensory deprivation. Photoreceptors in the retina must perceive absolute blackness to function correctly. This demands the installation of heavy blackout curtains or the use of ocular masks, alongside the ruthless elimination of afternoon stimulants. The schedule must remain rigid. Upon waking, the eyes must reject the artificial, damaging glare of a smartphone screen and immediately seek exposure to natural solar radiation. This solar exposure acts as a primordial command. It strikes the brain, violently signaling the hypothalamus to initiate the morning hormonal cascade. Without this signal, the system fails to launch. This leads directly to the silent, pervasive crisis of micronutrient deficiency, specifically vitamin D. The absence of this steroid hormone precursor cripples testosterone production. Data indicates that correcting a deficiency triggers a massive hormonal surge of 20% within a single year. Incredible! The human body naturally synthesizes this compound when the skin absorbs ultraviolet light, yet modern isolation creates a dangerous scarcity. For those inhabiting regions devoid of sufficient sunlight, synthetic supplementation becomes a survival tactic to prevent chemical starvation. Yet, the threat extends further. The synthesis of testosterone strictly demands zinc and magnesium. A vast majority of the population suffers from an undiagnosed, critical lack of these minerals. If the body lacks these raw materials, the biological machinery halts. Motivation cannot manufacture hormones out of nothing. The system remains hollow. The objective is not to panic and ingest a pharmacy of pills, but to avert systemic collapse through strict adherence to biological laws. Make sure to hit subscribe so the algorithm doesn't bury me in the depths of YouTube. The advice is free, but the like button? That's priceless. Smash it now! The narrative descends into the visceral reality of adipose tissue. It reveals a dark biological secret. Body fat and testosterone possess a strictly inverse relationship. As fat accumulation rises, the body initiates a horrifying process. It chemically converts potent testosterone into estrogen. This is not merely a cosmetic failure, it is a physiological sabotage. The signal for muscle growth vanishes, replaced by a command to accumulate more mass. However, shedding this excess weight forces the body to preserve its hormonal potency, potentially spiking testosterone levels by 20 to 50%. Yet, a lethal trap awaits those who push this too far. If the subject reduces body mass to the point of emaciation, testosterone levels do not rise. They plummet violently. The biological imperative demands a precise range of 8 to 15% body fat. Deviating from this zone triggers a system failure. Most individuals commit a critical error here. They severely restrict caloric intake and adopt chaotic feeding schedules, expecting hormonal recovery. This method ensures failure. The only viable path requires consistent heavy resistance training. This leads to the most dangerous misconception in modern nutrition: the fear of dietary fat. The truth is absolute. Testosterone synthesis strictly requires cholesterol as its primary substrate. If the diet lacks this raw material, the body cannot manufacture the hormone. A regimen devoid of fat acts as a catastrophe for the endocrine system. Energy evaporates. Libido is extinguished. The mood deteriorates into despair. The body screams for essential lipids, yet the subject ignores the warning. To avert this hormonal crash, the consumption of specific fats is mandatory. The system demands saturated and monounsaturated fats found in whole eggs, olive oil, avocados, and dark chocolate. These are not optional treats. They are critical components for survival. Trans fats remain a toxic threat to be avoided, but natural fats are essential. The intake must constitute 30 to 35% of total daily calories. Without this specific ratio, the body lacks the resources to function, and testosterone production ceases entirely.